a true and true African. I was born in a place now called Ghana. It used to be called the Gold Coast. It used to be called Edina. And so many different names this place has been called, but it is essentially the African continent. So I consider myself as a Ghanaian unabashedly, and I also consider myself as a Canadian. I was born at a time when Ghana had just had independence a few years, and you know, things were not that bad. I finished my first degree quite at a very young age, and I was fortunate enough to be asked to do a master's program at the Regional Institute for Population Studies, which is quite prestigious because it's a United Nations institute, and so I was fortunate that way. And then you know, I was privileged enough to have some mentors who helped me to navigate the system, and then I became interested in coming to Canada because there was a Canadian lecturer who came on sabbatical in Ghana, and so he introduced me to Canada, and the rest is history. I'm a social scientist. I read sociology and geography for my first degree. I became very, very interested in development issues, the local people who know about the land and the environment and what it entails. I became interested in hearing what they have to say. So at some point, I got fascinated with the issue of water. And so I started thinking about ways in which we access water, ways in which people of different backgrounds, especially poor people, access water, because I didn't think it was good enough for us to sell water to poor people. Sometimes they say that, okay, what about the infrastructure that we use to get the water to them? And then I say, well, we get taxed. So yeah, even if we have to pay for it, it should not be that much. So over the years, I've been trying to find out strategies that they use to gain access to water and how that impact their lifestyle. In terms of research, that is my area. But you know, in terms of discipline, it's geography, sociology, and then some aspects of the environment. I've always been a community person. You know, in school, I organize all kinds of activities, the sports activities and so on. I'm very sports oriented. I organize the people because I know that it is them who make the community. So that's where I took it from. So when I came here, you know, I also realized that there was a vibrant Ghanaian community already. You know, like the present president, he says things like, we stand on the shoulders of great people. And that is true. When I came, I saw that this community was already vibrant. They didn't need me, as I would say. Yeah, they had it already, you know. And so, you know, I started going to their meetings and participating in their activities and so on. And then at some point there was an election and I put my name forward and I won the election. And so I served 2 terms. At a certain point it was like they were going to crown you for life. So I said, you know what, guys, I love this community. I love everything about it. I want to continue to be part of this, but I think somebody else should be given the opportunity to also come in with fresh, new ideas. I will always be here to support, but I don't think I should be president for life. The Ghanaian community is very quiet, but they're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, bringing people together, helping people to navigate the system and so on. So it's been great. One of the things that I like about the Ghanaian community is that they reach out to other communities as well. I understand that very recently there's been an amalgamation of community organizations that have come together to form an African community, and that is also going very well. Chiarelli is of Italian descent, and in those days, the Italians were more or less the Africans of Canada. So Italians were looked down upon just like we are looked down upon. Italians were not integrated in this system just like we have not been fully integrated in this system. So growing up, Mr. Chiarelli was the last born of his parents, and you know, he was born in Canada and saw all of that. They used to live in Rochester. When I met Bob, he let me know that he empathizes, that he knows the racism. Even last week when I visited him, he was talking about the racism in the system. He hasn't forgotten that.
How old is he now?
82 years old, Bob. Yeah, very still strong and still going, you know. Working for Bob was like working 24/7. You know, there wasn't a break. For 4 years, I didn't know what a holiday was. By 6 a.m., Bob is already on the phone with me, because he saw the diversity file as the most important and defining part of his mayoral, you know, stint. And so he will call me. He's on the treadmill. Early in the morning, he'll call me and we'll talk about today, what it is that we're going to do. What do we need to accomplish today? And when I say that it is 24/7, I mean it that way, because the real work, the real diversity work starts after 5. You know, most of these community organizations, the people who run them, they go to work during the day. And so usually when you want things to really be done, it is done after work. So usually every evening when everything is done, when Bob has finished with what is going on in the city, we have events that we have to go to, and each of the events I have to be there with him. I ride in the same car with him and we go to these events, name it, east, west, north, south of the city. We just go. You know, the Ukrainian community is having an event, the Tanzania community, any community within Ottawa that needs something to be done by the mayor of the city, we are there. Projects that needs to happen, you know, I bring the black community together. Some organizations need a place to, you know, have their meetings and events and so on. We try to facilitate that. Like Bob actually gave out one of his boardrooms. He just said, Andy, if any organization need a place to have their events, their meetings, whatever, give this room to them. So that is the kind of friendship him and I have had. And it will interest you to know that he is the godparents for my twins, his wife and himself. Bob will do his own grocery. You go out there and do his own grocery, and he tells you, yeah, this is how you meet people. He's hands-on. He's very, very empathetic, making sure that things happen. Black History Month, Black History Ottawa is dying. We have to resuscitate them. Somali youth, there are issues. We have to work with Somali youth. That's why we put together the Somali Youth Task Force, for instance. There were a few other initiatives that were done when he was mayor, and that was based on him trying to help and make sure that everybody is, you know, is doing well. I know how hard we fought to have Black history in February in Canada, okay? And to see that in the seat of government, our organization that deals with Black History Month is almost non-existent, and just a couple of enthusiastic volunteers are working so hard to sustain it. It was just almost impossible, you know. The Jungavins and the Saranyangos and Godwin Ifedis they were just running on empty. Okay, so I thought to myself, no, this shouldn't happen, especially not on my watch. So I spoke to Bob, and he said, well, any resources you need, just let me know and we'll make it available. That's one thing I like about this man. I can't say enough about that. And so, you know, I called them in. We had a few meetings, and they let me know what it is that they needed. We put those at their disposal, and we revamped the organization, and it's still here.
Looking at the city now, how do you feel? Are you happy with where we are?
Mixed feelings. Because, for instance, LRT was not, you know, done the way that it was planned initially. You know, it was Bob's idea, by the way, for us to have LRT. You know, the Carleton University old train was the pilot, you know, but unfortunately, he was ousted. Because of the way LRT was handled initially, and ironically that has gone on for a very long time, and we still don't have LRT sorted out. And so that, I'll say, it's rather unfortunate, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get this issue resolved as soon as possible. Black History Ottawa is still running, and I'm happy about that.